Hey everybody, we are back here with our Monday night tips, and this is going out to our friend Ryan Hart, who is dealing with an acoustics issue, and through a series of questions, we found out that he has been practicing in a very lively environment and making great strides in his playing, but then going over to his first rehearsal here, he was having some issues playing. So we'd like to address a little bit about various playing environments.
This is a real common problem and something that I've fallen into that trap way too many times that I'd like to admit. But on the road, doing these Broadway tours that I do, every situation is different. Every building is different. Some theaters, you barely touch a second line G and it's bam, it's flying around the building, and you're getting the hand, and other times it feels like you can blow your brains out and the note barely falls out the end of your horn and gets sucked up in the environment of that pit. So make sure that you're not falling into the same trap that I did all too many times, which was trying to adjust my body to compensate for either a really lively situation or a really absorbent dead situation.
Right. Let's just clarify this. Like when the director does that, that's like a special thing just for the trumpeters, isn't it?
Alto, alto.
So a big part of this problem is attempting to hear ourselves, right? It's like sometimes we just don't have monitors or a good monitoring situation, even if having like a plexiglass shield in front of your microphone or a monitor speaker near you, and having a dead room that's sucking up all your sound. That's exactly what causes us to overcompensate. Bobby Shue told me a story a long time ago that has been super helpful to me over the years. So he told me this story that way back in the day, and some of you guys that are 50 plus will probably appreciate this. There used to be a thing on TV called the Don Kirshner Rock Concerts, late on Saturday nights, like at, I don't know, it was like at midnight or something like that. And they had all the big stars of the day playing, and many of these guys, they had a house band that would accompany a lot of these acts. And so Bobby Shue was playing trumpet in the group, and he said that it was so loud it was impossible to hear himself, and he didn't have any monitors, et cetera, et cetera. And so he got to the point where he had to play with earplugs. And back in those days, there weren't like all the high-tech earplugs that we have. Today, they had cotton balls. And so he created this exercise to play by feel. So he always emphasized we need to be able to play, we need to be listening, but we also need to play by feel. And it's a very simple exercise, but it's super effective. And it goes like this. You take a set of cotton balls and you stuff your ear with them. And the reason back then, cotton balls, he was saying, is that they allow a whole dynamic frequency range to be heard, as opposed to, say, like those foam earplugs, right, that just basically cut everything out. So nowadays we have all these different kinds of ear plugs that allow frequency ranges. So I would suggest those, or just your B flat cotton ball. But you take a note, and we'll say G for now, the second line G, and you have a series of quarter notes. And we start at 4 Ps, 3 Ps, 2 Ps, 1 P, MP, and all the way up through triple F, and then all the way back down again. So you're just playing this da, 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 and we're monitoring ourselves. We're feeling what it feels like to not hear ourselves from the outside, but we're focusing on what this sounds like, what this feels like within our bodies. And so you do this throughout the complete range of your instrument. You work all the way up and work all the way down. Some people like to just go all the way up. I typically start on G, work down to F sharp, G sharp, and kind of expand in that manner. But this is a really great exercise to help you learn to play by feel, which I think is really helpful in certain situations.
It sure is. It's a lesson that I wish I had learned years ago. And I was sort of forced into a situation of learning how to play earplugs. Years ago, I was in somewhere in Iowa. I think it was Iowa City, and in a orchestra pit that had a very low cement ceiling. It also had cement everywhere, the walls, floor, and everything. But it was so low that we literally had to crouch over just to be able to fit underneath to be able to sit down in our chairs. And I could easily just about a foot above reach up and touch the ceiling. It was that tight in there, and also it was very narrow. So I had the reed players behind me because they had a bassoon that had to fit out a little hole, pointing towards the audience. But I had a piccolo flute player right behind my head, about 8 inches from the back of my head, playing a metal piccolo, the kind that are meant for marching bands where there's one piccolo player and 900 trumpet players, and the piccolo player can still annihilate all of us trumpet players, right? So I have this guy right behind my head, and it was so painful. So I got my earplugs out, and it was hell for the first 3 days or something until my body sort of acclimated and my mind made that shift. I started feeling the occlusion, I think is the correct term, the vibrating of the notes in my jaw and so on, where I could trust that I was getting the right note, first of all, but that I wasn't blowing too much or too little, that I was using my muscle memory, what I had programmed in to play correctly. So that's a great lesson, Bobby, to actually practice that at home so that you are comfortable if you get in a situation like that.
And practice it in the deadest room you can play in at home. And I suggest using a tuner as well. So there's a couple ideas for you. Ryan, we hope this helps. Glad you guys are all here with us.
So be sure to sign up for our YouTube channel of the same name, Trumpet Diagnostics, and we'll see you there.